Raider Nation proves to me every single day that you don't have to be blood to be family. So if you believe that Raider Nation is a family, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. I believe that Al Davis would be proud of this Raiders team, and coming up here on today's show, I am going to tell you why. I am a big believer that Al is looking down right now and smiling at Mark Davis, Tom Brady, John Spytek, and Pete Carroll. Why? Because I believe that the Raiders are setting themselves up for success this season, but they're also setting themselves up for success in 2026 and in 2027. And I do really think that the future is bright here for the silver and black, which is something that, quite frankly, we haven't been able to say in a very, very long time. And I promise you this, if you tune into this show and you're like, oh, why would Al Davis be proud? By the end of this video, you're going to go, yeah, the Raiders' future is looking really bright. But I am a new Raiders fan, and I've heard a lot of amazing stories of Al throughout the years. All I want to know is this, because there's not many people that have helped the NFL grow the way that Al Davis has. And there's not many owners out there that I just think carry the level of respect that Al Davis does. When I think of Al, I look at him the same way I do my grandfather. That guy was my superhero. That is somebody that will always hold a very special place in my heart, and I know Al has that exact same feeling with a bunch of people from the nation. So before I break down why I believe that the Raiders' future is bright, give me a cool story, a memory, anything you got on Al Davis. I'm going to put some of my favorites on the show next week. Let's get into the first reason here of why I believe that the future is bright here for the silver and black. Pete Carroll's impact. I don't think that it can be understated enough how important Pete Carroll has been to this Raiders regime from top all the way down to bottom. One of the things actually that I was told recently in the past 24 hours is Pete Carroll, when he's out there coaching, he's fired up and he wants to compete himself, right? And I think he wants to compete, and he's bringing that into this locker room because he wasn't coaching last season. And when you're not doing something that you love and that you just really feel like it's why you're on this earth to do, and I think Pete Carroll was put on this planet to be a football coach, when you're not doing that and you miss it and then you get the taste back again, I think he's really bringing that competitive nature. Also, you can see it everywhere in the Raiders facility. I don't care if it's the cooks, the social media team, front office, coaches, wait staff, trainers. This competitive nature is bleeding through the Raiders, which is something that we needed. The other thing that we needed was Carroll's not afraid of anybody in the NFL. It's hard to sit at the AFC West table. When you're sitting there with Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, all future NFL Hall of Famers. No disrespect to AP, no disrespect to Josh McDaniels, even John Gruden. They weren't, I think, up to the bill that Pete Carroll is going to be, because when he sits at that table, he's going to demand respect. I also love Pete because he's making football fun for the Raiders, and I've been covering this team every single day for a long time. I have never seen a Raiders team as excited as this football team because of this regime. Hell, look at this quote from Jakobi Meyers, and if you don't know Jakobi, the fact that he said this, I think I even love it even more, because this is the type of mentality that Pete's bringing. Give a big nod to Pete Carroll, honestly. I don't know how he's doing it, honestly. There's got to be some type of drug out there or something. That boy got a lot of energy. I truly respect it. How he keeps the guys going, because it takes a lot to get a lot of grown men moving in the right direction. Not only does it take a lot of grown men to get going in the right direction, it takes a lot of NFL players, millionaires. Like, I don't want to sit up here and say that these guys have big egos, but you can't tell me that. I've never met an NFL player, quite frankly, that doesn't have a big ego, and I mean that in a respectful way. But I think also what Pete Carroll does is if Pete's able to get himself fired up at 73 years old, I'm sure a lot of those guys are going, all right, coach, I respect it, and I want to match it. Let's go to another reason here of why I believe that the future is bright for Las Vegas. John Spytek and Tom Brady. I don't know how many times I could count the times I have said that I believe that this organization is moving in the right direction, or that they are operating like a smart franchise. And I do think a big reason behind that is because Mark Davis finally listened to Tom Brady, and Tom Brady listened to Spytek, who's listening to Pete Carroll, and people who are supposed to be making things happen are doing those things instead of Mark getting involved. But when you look at Spytek, Brady, even Pete, they're building this NFL team the way that college programs are built, which I love, because college programs are built on you buying into a system, you buying into what the coaches are selling, and it's a team atmosphere. Too many times in the NFL, guys are just worried about themselves. This Raiders team is a true brotherhood, and I've heard that from a lot of different guys on this squad. Also, look at the front office. The Raiders front office this season is significantly better. Think about the coach they brought in from Philadelphia, the people that they brought in from Denver and Brian Stark, right? Like, this is a team that is building from the top all the way down, and so often we only talk about players, we only talk about coaches. This Raiders front office has brought in a lot of very talented people who have worked underneath Steelers' Omar Khan, people who have worked underneath Eagles' Howie Roseman, and they're building it the right way. Then look at the coaching staff. We go out and get Chip Kelly, who I think is one of the best X's and O's minds in the league. You combine that with a Greg Olson, a very well-respected quarterback coach, and then you combine that with Patrick Graham, who ended up getting a raise, and then other coaches that we have on this squad, like a Rob Leonard, who were just really, really looked at in an extremely positive light. Legitimately, I was upset when the Raiders didn't get Ben Johnson. But I look at this Raiders coaching staff, offense, defense, and what they were able to bring in with Spytek and what Pete Carroll's bringing. I'm actually happy that we have what we have right now. And to me, when your leaders are winners, and you can't deny Spytek, Super Bowl, Tom Brady, the most Super Bowls, Pete Carroll, Super Bowl, and a national championship. When those guys come in with the pedigree that they have and the love, the fire, the determination, the willing to compete even at their old ages in the front office, at the coaching staff, in the owners' meetings, whatever the hell it is, that fires up a lot of these players to do the exact same thing, and you could tell this class is buying in. Speaking of this class, let's talk about the 2025 draft class here by the Raiders, because this is another reason why I think that we are moving in the right direction. And I bring this up because this class is doing something that is exactly what the Raiders' plan is. And that's the other reason why I love this future. Raiders had a plan. They executed their plan. And when you're somebody that can go out there and execute your plan, I think that you can play chess when everybody else is playing checkers. So look at the draft class this year. Second most snaps out of all the draft classes in 2025 with 22,874 snaps. Out of the 11 players that the Raiders drafted, 9 were team captains. Now, I will say Darian Porter was a captain for only one game, so I included him in that list. But still, 8 out of 11 captains, I mean, that is really good. When you're trying to build something a little bit different, and I get it, you're trying to get guys that buy in. You're trying to get dudes that love football, that want to build a lot more than just their own career. They want to build the Las Vegas Raiders. You need team captains. You need guys that have a lot of playing experience. And when you know that your plan is to do this, bringing in team captains, bringing in players that are going to have to go out there and have a chance to play right away, I think you also have to bring in the right coaches. And the Raiders brought in a lot of college coaches this offseason, which now seeing how, NIL deals are being interacted into, football, how, honestly, the transfer portal, all this type of stuff, when you have coaches that have been able to scout a lot of these players, and then you combine a lot of these former college coaches, like Raiders running back coach, old Notre Dame running back coach, Chip Kelly, right? Like, those are just a few examples. You bring those guys in who have worked with a lot of these college players, it makes the transition a little bit easier for both coaches and players. And then on top of that, if you're asking them to compete right away and potentially put them on the field right away, you want players, coaches that speak the exact same language, and I think that the Raiders have a lot of guys right now that are speaking the exact same language. One word that I know speaks volumes in all languages, sale. And right now I got some Raiders stuff that is on sale right now. If you go to chatsports.com/Raiders sale, you're going to be able to get any Raiders gear, I think, under the sun that you're going to be looking for. Whether it's a hoodie, a t-shirt, maybe your significant other wants something, maybe your kiddos need something, you need a brand new hat. I've been rocking a lot of new Raiders hats on this show. This link is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's episode. And if you're a dad, you want to get yourself something nice for Father's Day, I think if there's one time of the year where you shouldn't feel guilty, and where your significant other hopefully doesn't feel guilty about you spending a little bit of money on yourself, it should be Father's Day. If you're like, Mitch, I'm not a dad, I won't tell anyone. You can still get something. Chatsports.com/Raiders sale. Let's go to the other reason here of why, again, I think that this future is bright here for this squad. Let's look at 2026, and let's look at where we currently sit with salary cap. Right now, the Las Vegas Raiders are projected to have the second most money salary cap, $111.3 million, trailing only the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, think about this number. It's a lot of money to spend. We also just extended Max Crosby, who I would say probably would be the player with the biggest contract on our team. We already have Christian Wilkins under contract, and that one might get renegotiated. But we also extended Geno Smith at a very favorable contract. So when I think about big deals that teams usually give out, the Raiders have already handled a lot of those deals. The Raiders also are getting rid of a lot of their dead money this season, which is why I don't think that they didn't spend the money this offseason the way that I think a lot of people thought that they were going to spend. And it's because they are saving up, building for the future, because Pete Carroll, this timeline is, we want to be good now. We want to be great in 2026. We want to be Super Bowl contenders, I believe, in 2027. And not only do you have money, not only do you have this coaching staff, not only do you have a young squad, you have the third youngest team in the National Football League at 25.8 years of age. Now, again, a lot of these teams are around 27, 26, 25. That's where all the average ages are. But I think one of the things that you got to consider is we have money, young players, and the other thing that we got, well, you know what? I'll tell you about that here in just a moment, because that one might be one of the biggest reasons why the future is bright. Now, if you do not know, I did go live on Monday when you were watching this video. It's going to be on Tuesday when this goes out. But if you didn't see it, we did a Madden Sim on Monday, so please go check that bad boy out. And then today, Tuesday, Week 6 on the road against Tennessee, my final live show, not being a married man. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get a little bit wild and crazy. So if you're not already subscribed to the Raiders Report, if you didn't plan on doing anything today at 4 p.m. Eastern time, change that. We're going to do some shit we've never done before, and I'm excited to do it. I know I couldn't invite all y'all to my wedding, so if you wanted to come to the wedding, pull up Tuesday. That's going to be the way to do it. Let's go to the final reason here of why I think that the future is bright for the Raiders. Think about everything that I've talked about in this video, right? Everything. Coaches, front office, Tom Brady, the draft class, the salary cap. You want to be able to paint a picture for players in the future to want to come to play for the Raiders. And to me, one of the biggest reasons why players want to come to a team, I'm going to call them pillar players. And the old expression, Rome wasn't built in a day. I think the Raiders are trying to build Rome. But here's the thing. You need some pillar players in order to do that. The reason why I'm bringing up these names here is because Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Geno Smith, and Jackson Powers-Johnson, to me, are the pillar players moving forward. I wanted to put Christian Wilkins on this video. If you told me he's 100% healthy, I would put him on this video, because everybody that you're looking at right now is a humble leader. Everybody on here is elite, I believe, at their position, or is going to be very good at their position. They're good leaders. They do what is right on and off the football field, but they have that let's get better by 1% mentality. They have that Pete Carroll compete mentality. So when your pillar players are matching the players that you're bringing in through the draft, a lot of captains, a lot of guys that just love ball, and then they match your front office, they match your leader in Tom Brady, they match your coaching staff. When everything starts matching together, you can see the plan that is being put together, and all of those reasons are why I believe that the Las Vegas Raiders' future is very bright, and it's why I believe Al Davis is extremely proud of this Raiders team. And I really mean this. I think Al is super impressed and proud of his son Mark for doing what is required to be the Raiders owner. And it's not always making you in charge. It's putting people in charge to make the right decisions. So at the end of the day, we just win